Africa, a continent brimming with diverse cultures, breathtaking landscapes, and immense potential. Yet its history is etched with the scars of colonialism, a legacy that continues to shape its present. Before the Europeans arrived, African borders were fluid, often defined by geographical features like rivers and mountains. Communities interacted and traded freely, their identities interwoven with the land they inhabited. Then came the scramble for Africa. European powers, driven by greed and a thirst for power, carved up the continent with little regard for the people who called it home. The Berlin Conference of 1884–85 formalized this division, drawing lines on a map that disregarded centuries-old social structures and ethnic boundaries. This arbitrary partitioning of Africa sowed the seeds of future conflicts and instability that continue to plague the continent today. Imagine a jigsaw puzzle forcefully assembled, pieces jammed together with no regard for their shapes. That's the legacy of colonial borders in Africa. This essay will delve into the profound and enduring impact of these borders, exploring their role in ethnic conflicts, economic stagnation, and political turmoil. But it's not a tale solely of despair. We'll also examine the inspiring efforts to overcome these challenges and build a brighter future for Africa, a future where unity and cooperation pave the way for progress and prosperity. Picture this, a room full of European diplomats, hunched over maps of Africa, dividing a continent amongst themselves like a birthday cake. No Africans were invited to this fateful gathering, the Berlin Conference of 1884–85, where the fate of millions was decided without their consent. This event, often described as the Scramble for Africa, formalized the carving up of the continent among European powers. The conference aimed to regulate European colonization and trade in Africa during the new imperialism period. It established rules for claiming land, essentially legitimizing a land grab of epic proportions. The result? A continent brutally dissected, its people divided, and its resources plundered. The arbitrary borders drawn in Berlin paid little heed to existing ethnic groups, religious communities, or historical territories. This disregard for Africa's social fabric had devastating consequences. It sowed the seeds of ethnic conflicts, as groups with long-standing rivalries found themselves grouped within the same artificial boundaries. Moreover, the conference institutionalized the economic exploitation of Africa, as European powers gained control of valuable resources and trade routes. The Berlin Conference, while seemingly a distant historical event, continues to cast a long shadow over Africa, its legacy woven into the fabric of the continent's present-day challenges. The Rwandan genocide of 1994 stands as a chilling testament to the devastating potential of colonial borders. This horrific event, where nearly 1 million people were slaughtered in a span of just 100 days, was fueled by ethnic tensions exacerbated by colonial rule. Before the arrival of Europeans, the Hutu and Tutsi communities in Rwanda coexisted, their differences primarily socio-economic rather than strictly ethnic. However, Belgian colonial rule exploited and deepened these divisions. The Belgians, seeking to solidify their control, favored the Tutsi minority, granting them privileges and positions of power. This created resentment among the Hutu majority, a resentment that festered for decades. Following Rwanda's independence, the Hutu-led government, influenced by years of colonial manipulation, unleashed a wave of violence against the Tutsis, culminating in the genocide. The artificial boundaries imposed by colonialism, combined with the deliberate stoking of ethnic tensions, created a tinderbox that ignited with devastating consequences. The Rwandan genocide serves as a stark reminder of the enduring impact of colonial borders, highlighting how easily manipulated divisions can escalate into unimaginable horrors. Sudan, a country riven by decades of conflict, offers another poignant example of colonial borders' enduring impact. British colonial rule in Sudan exacerbated existing divisions between the predominantly Arab and Muslim north and the predominantly African and Christian south. The British adopted a divide-and-rule policy, favoring the north and granting them greater autonomy. This created a power imbalance and fueled resentment in the south, leading to years of unrest and civil war. Even after independence, the South continued to face marginalization and discrimination, their grievances largely ignored by the North. In 2011, after decades of conflict, South Sudan finally gained its independence, becoming the world's newest nation. However, the legacy of colonial borders continued to haunt the region. The arbitrary division of land, coupled with unresolved issues of resource sharing and political representation, led to further conflict and instability. Sudan's story underscores the deep-seated consequences of colonial borders, highlighting how their enduring legacy can continue to fuel division and conflict long after independence is achieved. Section 5. Economic barriers, colonial borders stifling Africa's growth. Imagine a world where crossing the street to buy groceries required navigating complex visa regulations and exorbitant tariffs. This is the reality for many African businesses operating within a system fragmented by colonial borders. Instead of facilitating trade and cooperation, these borders act as barriers, hindering economic growth and development. Intra-African trade, the exchange of goods and services within the continent, remains strikingly low compared to other regions. This is partly due to the maze of tariffs, non-tariff barriers, and bureaucratic hurdles imposed by colonial-era borders. These obstacles increase the cost of doing business, making it more expensive for African countries to trade with each other than with former colonial powers. Furthermore, the division of Africa into small, fragmented markets limits economies of scale, hindering industrialization and economic diversification. The lack of interconnected infrastructure, a consequence of prioritizing trade with colonial powers over intra-African connections, further exacerbates these challenges. This economic fragmentation, a direct legacy of colonial borders, perpetuates a cycle of poverty and underdevelopment, preventing Africa from realizing its full economic potential. Section 6. Neo-Colonialism, the struggle for true independence. While the era of direct colonial rule may have ended, the specter of neo-colonialism continues to loom large over Africa. This insidious form of control manifests through economic dependence, political interference, and cultural hegemony, often perpetuated by former colonial powers and other global actors. Many African countries remain tethered to their former colonizers through unfair trade agreements, crippling debt burdens, and reliance on foreign aid. These factors limit their economic autonomy and leave them vulnerable to external pressure. Political interference, often disguised as development assistance or security cooperation, further undermines African sovereignty, perpetuating a cycle of dependence and limiting their ability to chart their own course. Moreover, the dominance of Western culture, from language and education systems to media and entertainment, continues to shape African societies, often at the expense of their own rich cultural heritage. This cultural hegemony can lead to a sense of inferiority and hinder the development of a strong national identity. Neo-colonialism, a subtle yet pervasive force, presents a significant obstacle to Africa's progress, highlighting the need for true independence that extends beyond political sovereignty to encompass economic empowerment and cultural liberation. Section 7. A glimmer of hope. The African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA. Amidst the challenges posed by colonial borders, a beacon of hope emerges, the African Continental Free Trade Area, or AfCFTA. This ambitious initiative, launched in 2018, aims to create a single market for goods and services across the African continent, dismantling the trade barriers erected by colonial powers and fostering greater economic integration. By reducing tariffs, simplifying customs procedures, and facilitating the movement of people and capital, AfCFTA has the potential to revolutionize trade within Africa. This could lead to significant economic growth, job creation, and increased competitiveness on the global stage. Imagine a future where goods and services flow freely from Cape Town to Cairo, where businesses can tap into a market of over 1.3 billion people, and where Africa's vast economic potential is finally unleashed. AfCFTA represents a bold step towards overcoming the legacy of colonial borders, fostering greater cooperation and integration among African nations. It's a powerful symbol of African agency, a testament to the continent's determination to chart its own course and build a more prosperous future for its people. Section 8. Pan-Africanism, a vision for a united and prosperous continent. Pan-Africanism, a movement advocating for the unity and solidarity of people of African descent worldwide, has long been a driving force behind efforts to overcome the divisions sown by colonialism. It's a vision rooted in shared history, culture, and a common destiny, recognizing that Africa's strength lies in its unity. From the early pioneers like Marcus Garvey and Webb Du Bois, To contemporary leaders like Kwame Nkrumah and Julius Nyerere, Pan-Africanism has inspired generations of Africans to strive for a continent free from colonial exploitation and united in its pursuit of progress. This vision extends beyond mere political unity, encompassing economic cooperation, cultural exchange, and a shared commitment to uplifting all Africans. Organizations like the African Union, established in 2002 as a successor to the Organization of African Unity, embody the spirit of Pan-Africanism. The AU promotes peace, security, and development across the continent, advocating for greater integration and cooperation among its member states. Pan-Africanism, with its emphasis on unity, solidarity, and shared destiny, offers a powerful framework for addressing the challenges posed by colonial borders and building a brighter future for Africa. Section 9. The Future of African Unity: Overcoming Colonial Borders and Embracing Shared Destiny. The future of Africa hinges on its ability to transcend the divisions of the past and embrace a future defined by unity, cooperation, and shared prosperity. While the legacy of colonial borders continues to pose significant challenges, there is growing momentum towards a more integrated and prosperous Africa. Initiatives like AfCFTA, alongside the growing influence of Pan-African ideals, offer hope that Africa can overcome the obstacles imposed by colonial borders. By fostering greater economic integration, promoting intra-African trade, and investing in interconnected infrastructure, Africa can unlock its vast economic potential and create a more prosperous future for its people. However, achieving true unity requires more than just economic cooperation. It demands addressing the root causes of conflict, promoting good governance and democratic values, and investing in education and human capital. It requires empowering young people, fostering innovation, and harnessing the continent's immense cultural and creative potential. Section 10. A Call to Action: Supporting Africa's Journey Towards Unity and Progress. The journey towards a united and prosperous Africa is a collective endeavor, requiring the active participation of all stakeholders both within and outside the continent. It's a call to action, urging everyone to play their part in supporting Africa's transformation. African governments must prioritize regional integration, invest in education and infrastructure, and create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive. Civil society organizations play a crucial role in promoting peace, reconciliation, and good governance, holding leaders accountable and advocating for the needs of all citizens. The international community can support Africa's journey by promoting fair trade policies, providing responsible development assistance, and respecting African agency in shaping its own destiny. By working together, we can help build a future where the artificial divisions of the past are replaced by bridges of cooperation, where the legacy of colonialism is replaced by a spirit of unity and shared prosperity. The time for a united and prosperous Africa is now. Let's seize this moment and create a future worthy of the continent's immense potential and its people's enduring resilience.